Hey team, I would say hi to Jared over there. I'm just going to be giving a rebuttal to some of the points brought up in the last speech, going against the idea of developing the moon for its resources. And so you had 3 points. You had an A point, a B point, and a C point. I'd like to address all the stuff there and show you why you may not be thinking through this totally in your rebuttals against the affirmative case. So in your A point, you talk about how the cost is too steep, and you assume that it would be too much of an investment for all these countries to be taking away from other earthly matters and putting it into lunar development matters. And you cite this doctor at NEU, Dr. Barlow from the physics department at NEU, and he says that the cost of people and materials would be $50,000 a pound to get from Earth to the moon, and there's some reasons to be skeptical of that number. And you throw out this also this number about tens of billions of dollars needing to be done in order for a moon base to be established, so that mining could happen, so that all these ideas of development actually actualize. So you talk about that number. Now, you also waver between tens of billions and trillions of dollars, so there's no consistency on your rebuttal as to the total amount this would be. So if you're claiming the price is too much, you should have a price that you set as too much. So tens of billions of dollars is very manageable for current modern nation states to come up with. There's individual helicopters that cost billions of dollars, and NASA's budget is $14 billion a year. And so it's not that much of a stretch to imagine that tens of billions could be invested in a project that would potentially give us first access to the moon and a lot of resources. But in addition, the SpaceX, a private American space company, they've had this rocket out for a while now called the Falcon Heavy. And the Falcon Heavy is a really cool rocket because it can go not only to low Earth orbit, but it can go to the moon, it can go to Mars, it has all that capability. So it's a viable technology right now. And every launch they've estimated so far is $83 million to launch this thing, and that would be a total load of 117,000 pounds. And so that works out to $709 a pound in terms of getting raw resources up there. Now, obviously, cost of humans would be a little bit more, but this number is going down. The current trends in the market is actually pushing this number a lot lower, and so the cost of getting there is not really an issue with this plan of developing the moon. In fact, it's becoming more and more feasible every day. But then you make up the very interesting point, who owns the moon? We don't really get to learn that in our education system, but there's been lots of treaties that have been signed by various countries that have settled this issue largely. The Outer Space Treaty in 1967, signed between the U.S., United Kingdom, and Russia, essentially established that all space is essentially common domain to all people. However, they put limitations on what states could do in this common domain. And the main idea was no nukes in space. We don't want nukes flying from the sky and raining hellfire and destroying lots of people. And so 103 nations have signed this Outer Space Treaty, including the US, Russia, China, and Europe. They have the only space agencies of any importance right now. And so who owns the moon? It's been a settled issue. It's whoever gets there first. Whoever wants to mine this material can mine the material. Now, in regards to resources, you have this claim we have titanium's very abundant on Earth. All these things brought up in my partner speech about the benefits in terms of resources on the moon. There's also some other things to consider in terms of the importance of helium-3, which is extremely abundant on the moon due to all this solar radiation constantly bombarding the surface regolith of the Earth, or of the moon. And this solar radiation activates these hydrogen atoms to fuse together into bigger chains, and we can exploit that with fusion research happening on the Earth right now. I had a friend at UCLA who's a physics grad student. He was working on this project called the tokamak reactor in France, and the tokamak's the most funded, the best idea of fusion we have today on Earth, and it uses helium-3 in order to run. It's currently being tested right now, so we need a lot of this stuff. And the other issue is that helium-3 is most abundant in seawater on Earth, and at that, it's not that abundant either. And so you'd have to be destroying lots of marine environments, filtering out this helium in order to to be getting the resources from Earth, whereas if you go to the moon and mine it, it's just in the soil. You're just literally taking it out of the ground instead of having to filter through all this water, do all this crazy electrolysis that's really energy intensive, really damaging to local marine environments. So it's more environmentally friendly just to take worthless moon soil over like very precious water for our marine environments we have now. And then you also have this issue with like it's a fantasy essentially, like we treat Earth bad, why should we go treat the moon bad? But that doesn't seem like a very consistent argument, because if we want to treat the Earth well, we need the moon as part of that solution. So like we have this idea that like asteroids could come from anywhere, and they could take out all life as we know it very quickly, and it's happened in the past, and there's good reasons to want to stop it. And the moon could be a good way to do that. The moon's gravity well, so like how much energy it takes to leave the surface of the moon is much lower than it is on Earth, so that'd be a good station to launch things to stop asteroids coming at us that we could detect. And it's better, cheaper space travel, and with this helium-3 that we could mine there, we could use that to like propel spacecraft that we have on the moon to do this. And so if humans are treating the Earth badly, why not push to learn how to be more efficient in our environments? And the moon would provide an environment where there'd be constraints, so we'd have to become more efficient. We'd have to learn how to treat our environment better, to be more efficient with our resources, and that would help us sustain not only moon colonies, but the existing populations on Earth. And so there's lots of reasons to colonize the moon, to exploit its resources, and many of the arguments you brought up simply don't go against that.